why are you requesting no visitation at all for dad and the child? We're here on the state's petition in suit affecting the parent-child relationship. This case has been pending for a while. We had done orders in 2023 on a temporary basis because Mr. Stroble was incarcerated at that time, and he still is incarcerated, which I'm going to be presenting an exhibit about. We also there was another child earlier on in the case that we did an adjudication of non-parentage for, but we are proceeding on the child that is still left on the case, and there is an AOP that establishes paternity for that child.
Okay, can you give me the name of the child and birth and actually an age if you have that or can figure that out?
Yes, her name is Rosemary Stroble. She was born October 3rd, 2019.
Okay, thank you.
And then the temporary orders, which were done, let me see, I think it was at the end of 2023. Yeah, it looks like those temporary orders were done December, I believe, 20th, 2023.
Okay.
But those address everything, all issues except for visitation, because we still needed the protective order to determine what the protective order said regarding the children. We do have the protective order, and that has been sent to the court.
Okay. Then I'll take judicial notice of protective order with respect to Ms. Pullen and Mr. Stroble. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, Judge, I would ask the court to take judicial notice of that protective order.
And I just did. Okay.
Okay, and if you're ready, I'll go ahead and call Ms. Pullen as my first witness.
She's been sworn. Did I swear you in, ma'am? Did I swear you in?
Yes, you did.
I did it so fast I forgot. Thank you.
Ms. Pullen, can you please state your name for the record?
Michaela Joan Pullen.
Can you please state the name of the child that you have with Mr. John Kevin Stroble?
Rosemary Corrine Stroble.
Okay. And how old is she?
5. She was born October 3rd, 2019.
Okay. Do you remember doing the temporary orders back? Yeah, it was December 19th, 2023.
Yes.
Have there been any changes since that temporary order?
No.
Okay. So in that, I'll just go through it. In that temporary order, you were appointed as sole managing conservator of the child, with the right to determine the child's primary residence without regard to geographic location. Are you asking for that to remain the same?
Yes.
Okay. And then it looks like visitation was not addressed in that temporary order. What are you requesting for visitation?
I really didn't want any, but I know that that's up to the judge, so.
Okay. Is Mr. Stroble still incarcerated at this time?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, Judge, I'm going to ask to admit State's Exhibit 1, which shows the Texas Department of Criminal Justice page for Mr. Stroble. And I'll just point out that his parole eligibility date is 3/18/2026, but his projected release date isn't until 3/18/2031.
31 parole eligibility and then the maximum sentence. Okay, thank you. The court will take judicial notice of the information details. I'll admit it for the purposes of this hearing. However, I'm going to withdraw them at the end of the hearing, so we'd have to publish them in the file. Okay.
Sounds good, Judge. Ms. Pullen, why is Mr. Stroble incarcerated?
Aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
Who was the victim of that assault charge?
Me.
Okay. Can you tell the court a little bit about what happened? I understand this is a sensitive topic, so take as much time as you need.
And the least details you want to provide, but just highlights, I guess. I don't want you to relive it necessarily.
It just started as an argument. He left the room and very quickly, and I knew something was wrong. And he then came out with a really big, like, rifle gun. I don't know what the exact name of it was, but and just proceeded to hit me in the face and head all over with the butt end of it. Just seemed like forever. And there was one point where Rose, she was a baby at that time, started screaming and crying, and I tried to ignore it because I didn't want to cause problems. So it didn't stop. So at one point he left the room. I thought it was okay, and I got up real quick and I ran and picked her up and tried to go hide with her. And he came around the corner again while I was holding her and just started doing it again. So that's basically everything.
So the child, Rosemary, who's the child of this case, she was present for that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Do you have concerns about him having visitation with her?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Have there been any other incidents that happened in front of the child?
There was another incident, but it wasn't in front of the child. It was kind of the same exact thing, but they weren't present in that.
So it involved a rifle or some weapon and
Yes,
beating you
yes,
around?
the same thing, yeah.
Same thing, same duration or worse, or
Yeah, they were both really bad.
how far apart were they?
Less than a year, like maybe 9 months or so. What, in a duration of 9 months.
And I'm sure Ms. Campos would ask you, now that I'm talking to you, did you file any charges? Did you get, or that's
Oh,
why
yeah.
you're there? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I do have a problem though, and I'm sorry. I just realized that my phone is at 5% and my charger is in the house and I'm in the car. So I just realized that right now.
I'm sure we're not going to finish with the 5%, you think, Ms. Campos, or are we?
I'm not sure. It's possible we could get the hearing done within that time, but I'm just not sure how long it takes for your phone to.
I can, if I run in and grab the charger, I can connect it and it will be fine, but it'll probably die. Do you want me to run in and get it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We'll wait for you.
Okay. Wait 1 second.
So Ms. Pullen, did a
Yes.
protective order result out of that incident?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And is it a lifetime protective order?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And do you remember if it was against just you or the children as well?
From my understanding, the prosecutor said that the children were included, but I don't.
Okay. Judge, and I did take a look at the protective order, and while the children were included in the protective order, it does say in that protective order that the only one that he's prohibited from attempting to contact is applicant, and that's on page 4 to page 5. But the children are included and they're named as protected persons in the protective order.
So he's not to be around them for mom's lifetime? Is that the information? I'm looking, I thought I had it up, but my Outlook went away. I have to pull it back out.
Yes, Judge. So they're included as the protected persons, but as when it goes into the details about who he can contact, it only specifies that he can't contact applicant.
But it's also protecting them from him physically, right?
There's a couple of so provisions regarding contact. I'll just kind of go through them.
Sure.
He's not to communicate in a threatening, harassing manner with any protected person, not to communicate a threat through any person to a protected person. But then when it goes into not to communicate in any manner with any of the following persons, applicant is checked off, but the children are not checked off. And then when it says not to go within 200 yards of any following protected persons, applicant is checked off and the children are not checked off.
I see that. I'm looking at it now. And they didn't address any kind of possession or access. Sometimes they do, but not in this one.
I did scroll down a little bit and it looks like it's not specific, but it does say on page 6 that he shall have possession of and access to the children on the 1st, 3rd, and 5th weekend of every month. So,
Okay, they put no restrictions on his access to the children.
but it does say that all visitation shall be supervised.
Is that in there? Okay, that's the next sentence. Third party, paid observer. Okay, that helps me a lot. Thank you. And that's all with respect to the children or possession and access. Yeah, they did address it, but it does help. Thank you. Then I'll take judicial notice of protective order and the contents of the protective order, including the possession and access.
Yes, Judge, and it is a lifetime protective order. It says that on page 8 under duration of order.
Okay, let me look for that. Lifetime of the applicant in full force and effect. When was this dated?
I believe it was in 2021, Judge, but let me look for the, okay, August 30th, 2021.
August 30th, 2021. And this was out of Caldwell County, if I recognize the judge and the district clerk's file stamp. Okay.
Yes, Judge.
Then thank you.
Ms. Pullen, why are you requesting no visitation at all for dad and the child?
He's just very dangerous, and it just kind of scares me what he would be capable of, you know.
You know what, Ms. Gomes, what I usually do is I try not to conflict with any order out there. So the protective order is out there. If it was only for 2 years, then I try to determine what I should do beyond the protective order. Since this is a lifetime one, I don't think I'm allowed to modify it. And so I will say it's already dealt with the possession and access, and I will enter no further orders on that. So why don't, in the possession and access, you'll just say as provided by the lifetime protective order and attach it to the order, and he's got what he's got, and that's it. I don't have to deal with it.
Yeah, and it doesn't have any specific times or anything in there, but I'm happy to just attach it as is to
It
the.
did say 1st, 3rd, and 5th weekends and through an agency, right? A facility?
Correct, Judge.
So usually the facility would have to set it up based on their policies or time schedules or supervisors.
Understood.
I won't modify it. I will let that remain since it's pretty much permanent to them because it goes through their 18th birthday if it goes through the lifetime of Ms. Pullen.
Okay. And then Ms. Pullen, so the temporary order also, moving on to the issue of support, the temporary order also orders that he has 0 income and thus child support is 0. Do you know of any sources of income that he might have?
Nope.
Okay. Are you requesting that child support be set at this time?
While he's incarcerated? Or-
Yes, yes. And
I don't
just
think there would be anything that I could get from him, so.
Tell me, you said the protective order addressed child support. I wasn't looking for that, so I didn't look.
it did not address child support, Judge, as far as I could tell.
Okay, I'm sorry. I misunderstood something. Okay.
Okay, Ms. Pullen, is there anything else that you think the court should be aware of or that you'd like the court to consider?
Did we already address the part, like the child support, like for when he gets out, or that would have to be done then, or?
That'll be a modification, Ms. Pullen, so
that's
that will happen when he gets out and so that we can have good info or some info at least on him at that point.
Okay.
But so you're aware, it's not like the AG automatically knows that he's out, and so they're gonna bring race to bring the case. If you know and you think and actually if with the inmate information details, that might help. If he didn't get out for parole eligibility, he won't get out till the maximum sentence. A few months before that, you might start getting a hold of the AG to apply for the modification service. Because it has to be,
Okay.
you have to come back to court to modify the order, not just make a phone
Okay.
call and it
Right.
happens.
Okay.
Okay. So did you cover everything you needed to cover, Ms. Campos?
I think so, Judge. I'll just point out too that the temporary order has close
Okay.
ordered as communication, but the protective order does specifically state that he's not to communicate with Ms. Pullen in any manner.
Then we'll remove it.
Okay. And then the other thing I think that was attached to the temporary order was the Children's Bill of Rights.
Okay. I don't
But
see.
besides that, I'll just say my closing is only that we finalize the temporary orders essentially as is. And
Hold on, did I hear anything on retroactive or is that given?
that was
Did I address?
already addressed in the temporary orders, and it was no retroactive
Oh, okay.
ordered or granted for any of the child medical or dental support. But I can certainly ask Ms. Pullen if she is requesting that be changed, but I understand your position. Yeah.
I try not to order it in the temporary order, so you surprise me, but then when somebody else wants that in there, it's granted already, I don't undo whatever's already been done. So you're not asking, well, the law allows me to set zero support because he has no income. You understand that, Ms. Pullen?
Yes. Yes.
Do you know, and you said you don't know of any sources where he would get it, that anybody puts money in his commissary account or he has some assets from which he gets passive income or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Okay, then the state's gonna make their closing argument from the beginning to the end of the highlights of the order. So listen carefully to see if you agree with all of it or if there's anything you want me to consider different from what the AG is asking.
Hey, Judge. So like I said, the order appoints Ms. Pullen as the sole managing conservator with the right to designate the child's primary residence without a geographic restriction. Mr. Stroble does have some rights and duties, though, that were included in the order.
Did I remove some of them or did we just put the whole panoply?
It looks like it was all included. So yeah, it doesn't look like it was any of I don't think his rights were limited in the temporary orders, at least. Then
I think may as well deal with it right now while we're talking about it. What I would do is, even if I appoint him the possessory conservator, which I will, the only rights and duties he should have is the one that only has like 4 or 5 when it's an emergency or when if he actually has the children, not that he has right to the school records, right to their medical records, right to have lunch with them, right to go to school activities, all that stuff. Mom has that exclusively. So there's the last set that should he have possession, he has the right to make decisions regarding emergency medical, something like that. The last
look.
I don't have one to look at, but it's in your form. It's the last set of rights and duties, which is limited to 4.
To consent to medical, dental, and surgical during an emergency involving an immediate danger, and then to inform the conservator of the requirement of if she establishes a residence with somebody who is under a protective order. And then there's also to manage the estate of the child and the right to inherit from and through the child. Yeah, those generic last ones. Everything else is exclusive to mom, and he only gets that set. Yeah, including the right to receive information, considering she can't talk with him. Is that what your
wait? Say that again. I guess I missed it. The right to receive information from who?
From any other conservator of the child concerning the health, education, and welfare of the child. Although the PO does limit any kind of contacts. with her.
No, you can remove that one.
Okay.
I'm
Okay,
just
and
the
then,
minimal ones that if he were to have them by some, things change. I don't know what's gonna happen in your lifetime, ma'am. Those kids want to see him and you let him go. I don't want him to have any rights other than emergency rights should he have possession of them. Doesn't look like he's ever going to have actual possession if he has supervised visits, but I live in this world that I have to predict till they're 18 and finish high school, and anything can happen. So I'd rather you have it in there than not that I'm expecting it to actually take place, but you never know. You understand that? Okay. So yeah.
Yes.
And you got enough from my ruling, Ms. Campos, to make sure you take out the
Yes,
right
Judge.
one and leave the other ones. Okay.
I got it. Visitation was reserved, but then I understand that we are just attaching the protective order visitation language. His gross monthly resources are 0, and he has no other children. I don't believe that there is access to private health insurance. But medical is still set to 0 because he has no income. Child support set to 0, and then no retroactive child medical or dental support ordered. Court costs, or there was a non-disclosure of course order for Miss Pullen. And then court costs were not addressed, but we would just ask that those be waived considering he's incarcerated. And then, like I said, the Children's Bill of Rights was also attached and incorporated into the order.
So did we want the child support medical support to start at the date that the temporary order set it, so we don't have to?
Yeah, yes, Judge, I would just request that we keep everything the same.
What's the start date on that? Do you
Scroll back up. The start date was January 1st, 2024.
So we thought he was going to get out. Is that why we took this long?
Judge, I believe it was because of I think it might have just fallen off, a case that fell off the docket, but I believe that the issue was we needed the protective order to understand what we could order for visitation.
Yes, it definitely did help me here today. I had another question. I forgot what it was. Oh, I was looking for what's his release date again, or maximum date?
The maximum date is 2031. Let me go back to that one.
The child was born in what?
Yeah, so the parole eligibility date is 3/18/2026, but the projected release and maximum sentence date is 3/18/2031.
How old will the child be by then, off the top of your head?
If the child is 5 now, then I would say the child would be about 12
Yes.
when
12.
he got out in 2031, give or take a year.
Yeah, okay, just wanted to see what that looked like. Okay, then did you hear anything that you did not agree with, Ms. Pullen?
No, I agree. It's this one.
Yeah, I think we can do what we can, but what you really want is a modification when he gets out so you can get child support. And I am not going to modify a protective order. I don't think I have that authority. So they already set that visitation. That's what you got. That's until they turn 18, unless he tries to modify it or something else happens somewhere in court for that, but not otherwise. Okay, then having heard the evidence and argument, I'll grant the final. Is this a paternity or a SAPCR? You said there was
This is a SAPCR, Judge, and the AOP was attached to that prior temporary order.
Okay, great. Then I will find his duty of support, enter a final SAPCR order with all the, I'm just gonna adopt your closing, Ms. Campos, without having to repeat all of it. I think you understood me and I understood you, and there's a temporary order to fall back on anyway. I will waive court costs, and yes, there's a non-disclosure for mom. And yeah, the visitation is not reserved anymore, but visitation shall be per the protective order with attaching that. And actually put the page numbers on there so that nobody's trying to hide the ball. Visitation per protective order, page whatever.
Sounds good, Judge.
I think that covers it all. And so now what I'll do, it's called rendering the order. It's my order. So when you leave here today, you can't change your mind or anything. You're stuck with this order, Ms. Pullen, you understand that?
Yes.
So the state's going to draft it and send it to you by email. When you open that email, if you'll review it for any errors or any typos or anything like that, that would be fine. If you see nothing that seems to be a problem, I'll ask you to sign it. The quicker you sign it, the quicker I get it. However, I usually give it about a week. So by next Tuesday, if they haven't heard from you or you haven't signed it by Monday, on Tuesday, they'll be turning it in. So don't sit there too long. Hopefully they'll get it out by the end of the day or tomorrow. And you might sit on it a day or two, but don't take all week, I hope. And if you do, you
Yeah.
can, but if it comes in on Tuesday without your signature, I'll sign it without you since it is my order and I want to move it and get it in the court file. So the state, hopefully they'll draft it by the end of the day, start looking after 5 or mid-afternoon maybe. And anything coming in from the Texas Office of the Attorney General, that's your priority homework, okay?
Okay.
Any questions at all, ma'am?
Nope.
Then hopefully if you find out when he's getting released, whether it's with his parole or with final disposition, start ahead of time to try to get the case moving for when he gets out. Okay,
I will.
if you want.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Good luck to you and your
Yes.
child. If you'll click the end meeting button now.
Okay, I'm looking for it. Oh, okay.